Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Here we are. I'm Dr. Rodriguez, Mari Carmen Rodríguez, Mari for my friends, right? And I don't know if you guys know a little bit of my story, but unfortunately, I lost a daughter in 2023. Her name is Iman Alisa, love of my life. And sometimes that's as far as I can say before I start any conversations with you guys, because then the conversation, it would affect me. And I'm not here to be affected. I'm here to help you. I'm here to give you a message, because the last thing that I want to know or hear is that there's another parent out there that lost their kid. And I wish I would have had some information in my hands that unfortunately was not in my hands. And worst of all, it was not in our kids' hands. So funny enough, yesterday I had the opportunity and the great honor to go to Kinloch Park Middle School, because now they have an elementary, but I went there when it was middle school. And they're still a middle school. So funny enough, the invitation comes through other friends, because I also work with Drug Free World and different organizations. And I went there to do a presentation because one of the counselors, and a shout out to Eduardo Savignon, counselor from Kinloch Park Middle, and the principal, Silvia Coto Gonzalez. You guys are amazing. What you guys are doing in our schools is beyond words. And funny enough, the reason that I was going to the school was because they're having a tremendous issue with vaping. And guess who gave me these two vaping that were confiscated? They did. And I appreciate that, because, I do this on my own. My foundation, ImansLigthFoundancion, is something that I initiated with my own personal money. And I have a board of friends that loved her and love our kids, and that feel that what we're doing is extremely necessary. So they confiscated these two things, and I will tell you all about this as we progress. And I was a little bit shocked, because 12-year-old was one of the persons who got this confiscated. And I'm thinking, a 12-year-old, wait a minute, why would a 12-year-old be vaping, right? And how does a 12-year-old get their hands on a vaping? So funny enough, when I was talking to the principal, she said that the girl, one of the stories in one of the other vapings that they got was that the girl asked her abuelito, her grandpa, to take her to the pharmacy because she needed something. But the problem was that this is a connection with other people. So a 12-year-old has her abuelito, her grandpa, take her to the pharmacy to pick up something. And he takes her, and that was the meeting point for somebody who was waiting there to provide her with one of these things. So think about it. Think about it. So my point yesterday at the school was very clear and very poignant, because sometimes, they go into an age where they think they know everything, just like we do, right? Just like we did when we were young. But the fact is that they have no idea what's coming to them. This other one that was also confiscated in a middle school, okay? This one is actually marijuana, because it's a whole different pen, right? It's a whole different apparatus. And actually, again, the question is, how does a 13 or 14-year-old gets one of these? So you know that you cannot buy it until you're 21, because if it has nicotine, then it's the age is 21. I think if you're 18, maybe you can get something that doesn't have nicotine. But for sure, a 13 or 14-year-old cannot get their hands on this. So again, how do they get it? Who do they get it from? And that's where I want to tell you that for me is what terrifies me, and the danger. Because there's no way that you would know who bought this originally. And is it intact or was it manipulated? So very interesting in the class that we're talking about vaping, the lies about vaping, right? That they did it because if you're trying to stop smoking, this is going to help you. And no. And you know why not? Because originally, I can tell you that this apparatus was invented by a Chinese doctor. That he was just trying to curb the smoke that was coming out so that he wouldn't affect other people. But at the end of the day, what he wanted was an e-cigarette in order for him not to bother other people and maybe smoke less. But the name of it is electronic nicotine delivery system. That's what they are. An electronic nicotine delivery system. It's just that you don't have the smoke that comes with it. You have a vapor, right? So again, my terror was when the middle school principal is telling me about these things is that how do they get it? Who bought it for them? Was it bought in a store? Was it bought from a dealer? Was it bought from somebody else? I don't know. They don't know. Nobody knows, because how does a 13-year-old get it? And this is the danger. This part here. Anybody can put anything in there and we don't know what is there. So what I'm hearing is that a lot of middle schools and now some elementary schools are beginning to see things that they never saw before. And so that in case you didn't know like me, okay, I was able to check, and you guys are more than happy, to go check in the internet too. Are you aware that they're making highlighters that are actually vaping? They're vaping machines. They're making USBs that are vaping. They're making lipsticks that are actually vaping. There's actually a hoodie. I looked it up, and there's a hoodie that you put it on, and the ends of the hoodie, where you tie the hoodie with, you put it in your mouth and you're vaping. So it's funny, when I was talking to the kids, I was trying to just put a message, because normally when I go to a school, I'm not there to tell somebody, do this or don't do this, because that'll be the fastest way for me to turn off a kid, telling them, no, you cannot. No, that doesn't happen. Number one, I am there to empower you and for you to make the best decision after you hear the facts. And the facts are that I want to know why, who, what company, what kind of people, what kind of person thinks of doing something like this, getting a highlighter, a USB, a lipstick, or things like this that are making it look like they're just harmless, that they're not what they are, if you are not purposely attracting and going after children. Children. Because I am telling you that a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old doesn't think that this is cool and doesn't need to hide it, right? Because they're old enough at 21, 22 that if you want to smoke, you're going to smoke. So who are they doing this for? Who are they targeting? So it's kind of interesting when you're posing questions like this to the kids, what the kids respond. So some said, well, they're targeting us because we're vulnerable, because we're not savvy. And then I said, okay, and what else? And then they said, well, because we can hide it and people don't know that we're using it. And then I said, but why else? Why is somebody going after you? You're just a little kid. Your frontal lobe hasn't finished growing. Anything that you put in your body is affecting the connections of your brain, right? Who is trying to hit and kill the connections of your brain? So then you see their face thinking, wait a minute, what is she saying? And the question was, one of them said, oh, maybe because if they get you early, they get a customer faster, because we are, we trust, we're kids. And then I said, oh, you're in the right track. Yeah, they're going to get you faster. And also, what are they going to have? A customer for life or until you die, right? Now, the second thing that kids don't understand is that nobody knows their threshold for addiction. Nobody. Neither you, me, or anybody here knows their threshold for addiction. None of us do. It's all about your body, your chemistry, your weight, your genetics, right? So nobody knows. And I think that's when they start thinking that if the kid next to you might be allergic to peanut butter or to strawberries, what is it? That means that we have differences in our body. We have difference in our tolerances. We have difference in the way that we assimilate a chemical in our body. And that, to me, parents and friends that are out there, this is what our kids need to know, that they're different, that they're special, that every human being is not the same as the other. Not even an aspirin is for 100% the population. Not even an aspirin, okay? Because it has to be a human being in this planet who cannot take an aspirin. So I think it's when their wheels start to turn and they start realizing, wait a minute, some things here don't make sense. So that is the bigger lie, that vaping doesn't affect you like a cigarette. A total lie. Some of the jewels, those long ones, the jewels, it's 20 cigarettes in one jewel. So imagine if you're taking one of those a day because, you become now addicted. A lot of them did not know, which I was a little bit surprised, that nicotine is only second to heroin and morphine. And actually, there was teachers in the room that didn't know that either. So imagine how addictive nicotine is. And then some ask, okay, Miss Rodriguez, but what about the ones that don't have nicotine? The ones that don't have nicotine, they still have chemicals. What are they really putting in there? Do you think that the shortcake taste is really shortcake? Is a strawberry? What is it? So one of them says, oh, it has chemicals. Okay, what are those chemicals? What are those chemicals? Are they supposed to be in your body? I don't know. Do you know if those chemicals are supposed to be in your body? What happens when you burn that? What happens when you burn that into your lungs? So I think a lot of them, what they need is education in a way that gives you information and just challenges you to think, why are you giving me this? What is in it? What is going to happen to me? Because we all come out with problems, right? But what is the solution? What is the solution to all this? You have to know that this is a game changer. I mean, for me to hear that a little girl tells her grandpa to take her somewhere and there somebody's meeting her, 12 years old, and gives her a vape? Come on. So do you think that person gives a crap for that child? None. It was the money. It was all about the money. It's all about getting the kids. And the kids should be aware, because one of the things that I said in the class yesterday is not about anything. It's about your money. You are a customer, and they will have you for a long time, because if I can get you addicted to nicotine, to smoking, to anything at this age, I'm going to have you until you last, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen in your body, and if one day this is going to affect you so bad. Now, popcorn lung, that's another thing that when I was doing research, popcorn lung comes from vaping. It's almost like a bronchitis. It looks in your lungs like a bronchitis, right? It's only from vaping. So it's kind of crazy, the information we have now after 10 years of research. Because when these things came out, there was no research. Nobody knew what this thing was going to do to you. So it was an amazing conversation. You'd be surprised. Sometimes they started laughing at the beginning. And then as the class continued and we finished, nobody was laughing. They were all participating. They were all thinking. They were all self-aware. And they all understood. All the kids. We were all kids once. We started with the same thing. They couldn't believe this. They couldn't believe that nicotine was, second to cocaine and heroin. Oh, it was crazy. They didn't know the health issues. They didn't know that you can get heart attacks because it raises your blood pressure. They had no clue of the consequences in the body. They did not understand what an addiction was in the brain. Nobody had ever explained it to them. We were talking about different things. We were talking about a story that actually one of them came up because, we do build a safe space. I normally tell the counselors or principals, whatever they say, when they raise their hands, when I ask, hey, is anybody vaping? Hey, is anybody? And there'll be no consequences. No consequences. Has to be a safe space. Some of them do raise, and I always thank them for their courage, because it takes courage to stand in front of your peer and say, yeah, I'm doing that. And then you have a teacher or a principal somewhere. But that's not the point. The point is that we need to know in honesty what's happening, because that child needs to know what they're being exposed to, right? So when we were talking about the vapes without nicotine, they didn't know that those chemicals also produce changes in your body, changes in your brain connection. They didn't understand it. They didn't know that it could definitely make you sick and go into a hospital. So when I went to another school, because I went to the one that is in Miami Beach, Finkel, I think it's called Finkel Middle School in Miami Beach. A little girl, and hold on, I think she was only 5th grade. It wasn't even 7th grade or middle school. This is 5th grade. So she was saying that her little sister saw one of these somewhere in the street. What did she think if she's only 4 years old? She thought this was a juice. She thought it was a juice. She thought it was a juice because remember, when we have the little sippy cup for our kids, it has the same little cup. The little girl grabbed it. I don't know if they were in a store somewhere. The little girl wanted to sip it because she thought it was juice. And the little girl ended up in the hospital with a nicotine intoxication. So I'm just telling you that these things are out there. This is happening, and I want you to be aware because, to me, education is the key. We can talk about this all day, but education is key. A lot of the kids were learning about the impact that it had in your heart, in your brain, all around you. That vapor that people say that doesn't affect, not necessarily. That's not true. Also, there has been children and people who have some sort of an allergy or a response to the vapor that's coming out because, again, chemicals are in it. It's not a teapot with just water that we just put. There was chemicals in it. So we had the opportunity. I want you guys to be aware, and I want you guys to be aware that what terrifies me the most, aside of everything that we spoke about, the dependency, the addiction, is that in a conversation that I had with some people when I went to the Martin Luther King parade, was that some people in the community were terrified about what they're calling the feta wabs. So the feta wabs are the vapes that have fentanyl in it. You guys have heard it. I don't need to be telling you a lot about that, because if you guys don't know that fentanyl is lethal, then you haven't been paying attention to the news, and you haven't heard that in 2023 we lost 122,000 people. In 2024, according to the CDC, 110,000. This is not a joke, and a lot of them are young people. That's why you see everything that's happening in our nation with certain things. But again, to me, we have a responsibility as a community, as parents, as family, as educators, to make sure that this education is in our schools. I know I went to high school a long time ago. Actually, I went to Kinloch Park. I think I graduated from there in 1979. I remember classes about drugs when I was in high school. I remember that they had programs like mechanics and woodwork and different things. But I remember having a class on drugs. In my times, it was Quaaludes, angel dust, LSD, the things. I never saw it, but I did see it in a classroom. I did have a teacher that spoke about it and that made us aware. It was the thing that they could put in your drink. So I did have a teacher that made us aware of things. So when we went out as young women, we pretty much, were aware of our surroundings. We took care of certain things. We didn't leave a drink unattended. We came home with whoever we had left in the group. So we took our precautions, right? So what I want you to know, that this is lethal. Anything that has fentanyl, anything that has psilocybin, anything that has some of these synthetic compounds is and could be a death sentence. It's as simple as that, because only 2 milligrams is an overdose. And there's no way to know. Like I said, I don't know what is in this. I would have to take it to a lab and have it checked. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about this. I want to talk to you guys about the vaping. I want to tell you that it is important that you check your kids' backpacks. According to the principal, they not only just check the backpacks. Remember, a school cannot touch anybody in their private parts. So guess what? Guess where a parent found this one? In somebody's bra. Okay? So it's up to us parents to check them. They're just kids. They don't understand the full consequences of things. Remember, their frontal lobe has not finished growing. It will not be fully grown until the age of 25, 26. They're acting on behalf of their medulla back here, emotions, impulse. They don't see long term. They don't see mortality. None of us did. I remember throwing myself in a bicycle where I couldn't reach the pedals until somebody pushed me. It was fun. Yes, you fell down. Yes, you scraped your knees. But I never thought or believed that I could die. You understand? That was not in my vocabulary. This is what's happening in the brain of a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15, 16. They're just adolescents. They're just adolescent. And it's up to us, parents, please, not only check the backpacks, check the back pockets, check them when they get home, according to the principal, they're hiding it in private parts. Check to make sure that your child's highlighter is truly a highlighter, because I was shocked. From afar, I couldn't tell the difference. Until I didn't turn it around and looked at the end, I couldn't tell the difference at all. At all. The one that is a watch, I wouldn't know. And in a hoodie, how? What am I doing? You know, checking your hoodie in the back? It's crazy what's taking out there. The war is on our kids. This is on us. It's on us. And what we're going to do is that now that we're educated, we're going to educate our children. We're going to demand that our schools have drug awareness, drug education. It needs to come back to our school along with mental wellness, okay? Anxiety, stress, anger, because all of these things can take you to self-medicate. Even yesterday we were talking with some of the kids, you know, hey, look, man, they make it look super cool in the movies and the videos. Hey, man, dude, we all wanted to be cool when we were young, okay? Nobody wants to be the oddball. But the problem is that looking cool can cost you your life, or you can be addicted or cost you a problem. This has irreversible issues that once you start hurting the connections of the brain takes a while to reconnect. And depending on what we put in it is how we're hurting that child, their memory, their cognitive. So we need to be aware that these are not just passive things. Anybody that you know that is vaping, the conversation should be open. It's not blaming, it's not judging, because at this stage of the game, if you're vaping every day, you are addicted to that vape. I don't care if it doesn't have nicotine. They're making these things in factories where they do the ones that are nicotine. So could there be any transfer of nicotine to the ones that don't have nicotine? According to some research that we were reading, yes. Some of the ones that say that there's only flavor also have traces of nicotine. So you're aware. Please, please, please speak to your principals, speak to your counselors. Get out there, ask your kids the questions, just a conversation. Why not? How is it making you look cool when it's affecting your brain, your heart, everything, when you can have popcorn lung? And when, God forbid, you're a minor, you're buying it from who, what? It could have fentanyl. And I am telling you, if you think that this cannot happen to you, then you need to call me, because we need to have a private conversation. Because I am living proof that certain things that are not expected or looked for can take place. Okay? And it's not just me. 122,000 people lost their life in 2023 with fentanyl overdoses. And many of them were just laced. So I need you guys to think about it. Please take this home. Please help us. And you know what? Stay in touch. You have my information, any email, any text that you want to send me, anything that you want me to speak about, anything you guys want to hear, please, I'm here for you. And any parent who needs to reach out and have a conversation with another parent that understands the pain of not having your child with you today, I am here. And that is my whole purpose today. No judging, no questions, just here.
Your phone number?
My phone number is 786-853-3347. The foundation's name is ImansLightFoundancion. So you can write us at ImansLightFoundancion@gmail.com, or just come into our website, ImansLightFoundation.org. And listen, I'm just here to help. I'm here to support. And I'm here to give you a hand and a hug when you need one, because I know what it is to need one. And this is the whole point of what I do. And let's be real and let's have the conversation.
Repeat your number one more time, please.
My number again is 786-853-3347. There's also another number, which is 954-224-8174. And by the way, that used to be my daughter's number, which I kept, and we're going to use that number as part of the foundation, which again is 954-224-7184. And I hope to hear from you guys. And like I said, I'm just here to